Good morning, Shrija ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Let us start the subject, the topic, pairs and list. Pairs and list are discussed in the yesterday's session. Pairs is a data type, I can say. List is another data type, I can say. Yeah, which is supported in list. So pairs in the sense there are two atoms, two elements, right? And list can contain multiple elements, right? So that's what we discussed. And why this data type has to be supported in Lisp, right? So far, our procedure, we have written a procedure which will operate on primitive data type. It may be a kind of integer or a real number, etc. But in many applications, we need to work on a complex data type, a kind of like arrays, which is supported in other languages, and structures, right? Objects. So many higher level data abstraction is available and supported by many languages. Okay, so here as well, actually the Lisp is a very old one, and by seeing the Lisp only, the inventors of other languages have stolen this particular concept, maybe, right? Okay, so we have discussed about data abstraction, and while talking about the data abstraction, some kind of primitive data type has to be provided by the system, by the language. And also, the procedures which will operate on primitive data types should also be provided, then only we can build on top of that. Okay, whether it may be a complex procedure or a complex data. Okay, so in Lisp, we have two concepts like with respect to data, selectors and constructors. So selectors we require. The selector in the sense what it will select is some item from some complex data. Some selector must be there, and the constructor we should be able to construct the complex data type, right? So there are procedures supported in Lisp that procedures will fall into this category, selectors, or it can be in the category of constructors. Okay, so let us take one example. I would like to represent a rational number, which is a form of numerator and then denominator. How will you represent? So far, there is no clue at all in Lisp, right? So what we have discussed so far, we didn't tell you about how to represent the rational number. So if you look at the parts of the rational number, we have two entities, numerator and denominator. So how to make an abstraction with the two data elements, okay, and putting together and naming it as the rational number. Okay, if you take a complex number a plus ib, so how to put together a and b, and a will be told as a real number and b is an imaginary number, how to say, and take a polynomial ax square plus bx plus c. So what is that? A is for x square and b is for x and c is a constant, right? So how to say that, right? So we have to build the abstraction. Okay, so that is why we are talking about this pairs and list concepts. Okay, so the language is providing the procedure which will be useful for constructing the higher level data abstraction. Okay, so we also discussed about pair question mark. Pair question mark in the sense what is something you are making a query and it will tell you yes or no, true or false. Okay, so the pair which will be useful for checking the given item is a pair or not. Okay, so and we also discussed about there are two ways of representing the list, right? And list can be represented by the keyword list and then with a single quote. Okay, and we can also construct a pair by using a cons procedure. Cons procedure will take two arguments. Okay, list is a procedure which will take more than two arguments. Okay, so this primitive procedure pair question mark is available to check the given argument is a pair or not. It will return you true or it will return you false. Right. Other primitive procedure called as null question mark. It will check whether it is null or not. Okay, so the list can be a null or the pair can be a null. So in some time in our program, in our procedure, we need to check whether it is null or not. If it is not null, we will do something. If it is null, we will break and come out. Yeah, some action, some logic we have to apply. So null question mark is also provided by the Lisp, Lisp language, and we can make use of it. And then there are procedures called as CDR and CAR. CDR, what is the expansion? There is the expansion available, I tell you. So, right, just. I missed out. Definitely I tell you at the end of the session. Okay, so CAR will always return you the first element of a list, and CDR is a procedure which will return you the elements from the second position onwards till the end of the list. Okay, that also we discussed. And this is an example for how to construct a pair cons of 1, 2. What happens? The output of cons is nothing but we say it is a pair, but it is a kind of list. Yeah, it is a list because it is returning your single quote and then the first element and then the second element. And this system is going to return you see, it is going to put a dot. Okay, so there is a separator and it has its own convention. So no need to worry about it. It is not 1.2. There are two elements, 1 and then 2. Okay, the both are separate. Okay, and cons of 1 null. So what is the meaning? The first element in the pair is 1 and the second element is a empty. So if it is empty, it will not insert empty actually, you know. See, it is returning you a list with one element with the value of 1. Okay, so the null you will not get. So that means 1 dot and then open close. That null is not inserted. Okay, it is understood. Okay, so inside the bracket, if you have one element, the meaning is the second element is a null. Okay, that is the meaning, right? So there are a set of procedures, CAR and CDR we have seen, and null actually this is nothing but a constant which is provided by the system. Okay, so null constant represents a list with the empty elements. Okay, so this is the one, and if you say single quote open, this is the symbol for the constant null. So both are equal. Okay, so there is an equal question mark procedure is available which takes two arguments. It will check the first one with the second one, both are equal or not. So in here what we have is single quote empty list and a null, empty list and a null are same. So that's why it is returning you true. Okay, and then some set of procedures in a recursive way we have called here, and look at this one. See, this specific example, if you look at the list of you're going to check, and first argument is something, second argument is something. So in the first argument you're just going to construct a pair with one element. Okay, one as a value as the first element, and if you look at the second one, that is a list. Okay, so the Lisp is supporting to have a data abstraction in the form of array inside list inside another list. That means the element of a list can be another list. Okay, so in a recursive way we can write it. That is also supported. Okay. These are all the examples for constructing a nested list. Okay, if you look at this list contains one element. The first element is another list. Second element is another list. We can even have a list inside another list here. The third level, fourth level, fifth level also we can have it. Okay, but you should be able to interpret what is the first element, what is the second element. Okay, all right. So the next one is build list. And this is the shorthand for building a list with a higher number of values. So for example, I would like to have a list with 100 values starting with 0 to 99. I can use the build list procedure. Okay, so build a list, number of elements, and you just say values. Values are here the constant. Okay, so what will happen is it will start with 0 and till n minus 1 it will repeat. Okay, the values will be listed out. And for the build list, the second argument can also be a procedure. You can apply some logic for generating the number. Okay, for example, you can also have a random number. Yeah, so but here we have the square of x. So x will be starting with a 0, 0 into 0, 0, and then take 1, 1 into 1, 2 into 2, 3 into 3, 4 into 4. Yeah, so this is my logic. So you can also have a lambda procedure and you can write a logic inside, not only the square, you can have some complex expression as well. Okay, so this is a specialty of a build list. Okay. So always given the list, we would like to count how many elements are there. So that many number of times you may be doing something. Right? So in the for loop, you will be writing I equal to 0 and I is less than length of a list to do something, right? So length is a function procedure, a primitive procedure available which will operate on the list, and which is useful for discovering how many number of elements are there in the list. Right, so length of empty list, it will return you 0, right? So length is a very useful procedure. Okay, and again another procedure, if you look at append, given two or more lists, we can able to merge the list by using the append. So you can see you have learned many languages. So, and at the end of the day, so after graduation, so if somebody is asking you develop a language or you just say some of the features to include in the new language, you can definitely suggest many things, right? Because you can able to compare the languages, and in this language what is available, in that language what is available, and in the given language what is not available. Yeah, so the extra new features you can definitely add it. Yeah, okay. So the append is not going to create a nested list. Okay, but what it will do, it will combine all the elements in the given list. Okay, and produces one single list. That is no, the elements will not be a list. Okay, you can, the output will not be a nested list. This is another point to note. Okay, and reversing the list we have seen, and then very funny procedures like CAAR. We know it's a car. So there is a shorthand provided for the nested calling of the same procedure. Okay, CAAR. So twice A is repeating. The meaning is C car off. So twice you have to apply. So you have to start with the rightmost, and what is the letter? Okay, rightmost, what is that? It is A. That means it is a car. And go ahead from right to left, pick up the next character. It is A. So that means it is a car only. So car off. Okay. So given the elements 1, 2, 3, 4, if you apply CAAR, what happens is go to the rightmost, it is A. A means it is car off. You have to apply car off this. Car off this list is nothing but what? The first element. The first element is not the atomic one. It is a list. Yeah, so it will return you 1, 2, and then apply the car. So in the 1, 2, what is the first element? It is 1, so that it is returning 1. If you look at the CADR, so start with the rightmost and the element is D. D for CDR. Okay, so the innermost function is CDR, and then moving to the left side, you have A. So that means it is car of CDR of V. Okay, so this is a way of interpretation, and between C and R, you can have any number of A. And between C and R, you can have any number of D, or the combination of A and D you can have any number of times, any combination you can have. So we are getting new procedures. So if you look at CDAR, if you look at here CADR, okay, if you look at the CDDR, okay, so double time you have to apply CDR, right? If you look at this one, thrice A is occurring, so thrice you have to call the car function. Yeah, so this is what we discussed, right? So now by knowing this knowledge, by knowing this details, can you tell me, okay, given the list, I would like to retrieve 7. Okay, I would like to retrieve 7. Can you write the combination of car and CDR? Can you tell me the function for this, students?
CDAR.
CDAR, I just write what is the answer. CDAR. Okay, so what means you're the first you are applying a car. So if you look at this,
ADR, ma'am.
Okay, it's
so this
ADR.
is
CADR.
yeah. So ADR. So rightmost is D, and D means from second element to the last element. Second element is a list. Here it is a list, and then 8. So from 7 to 8 you will get it, and then you are applying a car. Car will give you what? The first element 7 to 1. 7 to 1, but you want 7. So again, this is wrong. So what is that? Please look at what happens is for this you will get a list 7654321 because the previous D it returned you this whole thing, right? There are two elements. The first element is a
Okay,
list,
ma'am.
and
Then it will be
here,
like CAADR.
yes, one more time you have to apply. Okay, so the CDR will return you the data from 7 to 8. You have two elements, and then you are applying a car so that you will get this. The whole thing you will get it, and then in this, the if you are applying a car, you will get the first element. Yeah. So this is the function. So CAADR of you can pass the argument. Okay, this is the answer. Yeah. Go to the next one. Students, everyone, you can participate at least for this is a very simple thing. The list, I would like to get 6 out of this. How will you get? Where 6 is occurring in this list, right? In this list. So first of all, you have to fetch this list and then you have to look at where is 6. The 6 is in the second element. You don't have any procedure for retrieving only the second element, but second element onwards to the last element you can retrieve by using CDR. Shall I call you
Can I
randomly?
try, ma'am?
Yeah, please try everyone.
CADAAR.
I'll write
The first
C
ADAA.
E
CADAR.
A. This is the one.
Another A will come, ma'am, because there is
Let me see. Let me. Okay. Any other answers? Any other answers, students? Is it right? You can calculate mentally as well. You go to the rightmost according to this answer.
CAADAR.
AADAR. Okay, which is correct. Let
DAR.
us. Uh-huh. Okay, so let me take first one whether it is correct or not. Yeah, car. Car. So in this list, car is this one. First element is a inner list.
ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am. There are like two brackets, no, ma'am. So I thought first will be returning till 9 because there is an
Okay, okay.
outer bracket again.
Yeah, this is wrong actually. And let us check his answer.
Ma'am, why, ma'am? Like, no, ma'am. I meant that. Can you just copy paste? I didn't write it down.
Okay, let me
I
see.
mean, Control Z. Maybe I said CADAR. Huh. So what I was telling is, there is two brackets, no, ma'am. So the first A will fetch me from 7 till 9. It will fetch me.
So yeah. Correct.
Huh.
Yes,
Then the
yes.
second A will fetch me
So
the
the thing
array
is,
with. Yes.
correct. You're right. So the thing is, if you look at the outermost bracket inside there is one element. This is one element because inside a bracket. So in that element, the first you are retrieving the innermost one. So everything will be returned, and then you are applying car so that you will retrieve this alone, and then you are applying CDR so that you will get 6 to 1, and then you are applying car so that you will get C. Yeah, this is correct. This is wrong.
Ma'am, I think there are odd number of brackets, no, ma'am. The closing brackets are 3 and then opening brackets are 2. I saw the right one. So if you put another
Oh,
bracket to the
this
left,
one, huh?
it will
Yeah,
be
one
fine. Or
bracket
the
is
second one, ma'am. Second one, ma'am.
second one.
Second one only, ma'am. Yeah, either you remove one right bracket or put one left bracket.
I'm not understanding what you're saying.
Ma'am, number of opening brackets should be equals to the, what? Yes, no, ma'am. Number of opening brackets should be equals to the number of closing brackets, no, ma'am. Opening the
Okay.
brown bracket is additional or what, ma'am?
Yeah. Correct.
You remove that
So
one, then
to
it will be fine.
yeah. So if you
Then you can
remove
remove
this,
one A also, ma'am. CADAR it will become.
yeah. So for this one A we can cut off, right? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Also,
So
it's like that for all the questions. The first one also
yes.
this.
There are extra brackets are there. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. The brown one is extra.
Yes. Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay. You're right. So now the third one, 3, 2, 1. So how to get the last element? So any other students apart from Priya? It's a very simple. Okay, I just write C.
DDR.
Okay, let me check. So the last one is D, so that you will get 2 and 1. And the next D, you will get 1 and null value. Yeah, 1 you will get it. Yes. 1 you will get it. Yes. CDDR. Okay. So here, if you check the number of brackets, 3 is close. Correct. How will you retrieve 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? Other students, please interact.
Ma'am, CDAAR.
Is it right? Can anyone validate this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the last A, car means which one will be retrieved. So you will get the whole list here. Yeah, is it right? Which one you will get? For the last A, which one you will get? From this bracket to this bracket you will get, right? Till 7 you will get. And then if you apply the car, you will get this list till 6. And then you are applying CDR so that you will get 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes, this is right. Okay, so I think you have you understood. Yeah. So what is the answer for getting this output?
CDADR, ma'am.
CDADR. Okay, you are applying
Yes,
car. Sorry, CDR. CDR, it will return you from second to last. And then apply the car so that you will get the first element. The first element here, it is a list. And then you are applying CDR so that from second to the last element you will get. Yeah, fantastic. Awesome. Yeah, good. Right. So given the nested complex list, you can able to always write the function, the reverse case, right? Okay. Everywhere I have, how come I think copy paste mistake? In many websites I have taken this content. Okay. So now let me check, is there anything else? Do this as an exercise and then you can verify the answer. Okay, let's move ahead. Okay, so the simple concept, no need to stuck up. Right. So another thing is there is a procedure called as first. First is a procedure. What car will do? The car will do the will retrieve the first element. Okay, but here see the first, for this the argument should not be empty. Car of list, that list can be empty, right? Yeah, it can be empty, right? But here the first procedure expects non-empty list. Okay, so if you take a first of and then the list, okay, so what happens is here, and this bracket, outer bracket is for the first. That is why I have because I copy pasted the initial left parenthesis, I didn't take it. Okay, so now given the first procedure and passing a list, then it will just return you the first. Okay, is there any procedure to return the second element, third element, fourth element, fifth element? And in the case, if you want a fifth element, you can go for the previous strategy, right? The car CDR combinations you can go, right? But it will take, the computation time will be greater, right? So the Lisp is giving different procedures for retrieving a specific element in the list. So for example, for the first element, first is available, okay? And for the second element, you have the second as a procedure. Second, it will return you the second element. What is the, in this example, you have two is written. If you also have the procedure names like third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, not 11th, 12th and all. Till 10th you have. Okay, so third of something, then it will give you 3. Fourth of something in this particular list, 4 will be returned. Okay, so it is not a list, it's an atom. It is returning you only the element. Okay, it is not a list. If it is a list, it will have an open bracket, close bracket, right? Within a bracket, it will give you. There is no bracket at all. So it is a element. It's a primitive data. It is not a list level data. Yeah. So, and another thing is you have the rest. Rest is same as CDR, but only for lists that are not empty. Yeah. Rest is equivalent to CDR, but the given data should not contain empty. Okay, that is the constraint. So rest it will return you the rest of the elements except the first element. Okay, so these are all the things available. Okay, let's look at the expansion for CAR and CDR. CAR and CDR are called as a primitive procedure. It is built in the language itself, and these procedures are called as selectors. It is useful for selecting the data in the given big complex list. Okay, what is the expansion for CAR? Contents of address part of register. Contents of address part of register. Okay, so can you guess how come they have come up with the CAR, and that also they are explaining in terms of computer, I can say microprocessor level, contents of address part of a register. Can you guess why they are referring the first element as a contents of address part of a register? It is always related to a kind of pointers in C. The pointer will always point to the first element. Given the array name always refers the first element, right? Given the array name is the address of that particular location. Okay, it refers the first element. Yeah, so contents of address part of register. So they have coined C and then A and then R, and they are saying that it is CAR. Okay, CDR stands for contents of decrement part of register. Decrement part of register. So what is that? Why decrement? And they are always pointing out the register, address, etc. Why? So in memory organization, you might have heard about high order location, low order. And given the data will be populated. Given array, the memory address will be incremented. But here it is decrementing, right? The second element is in the decrement part of a register. That means what? The loading the data is happening from right to left. Yeah, they will be always going for the highest address, and then the next data will be in the lowest address, and so on, maybe. So this is the internal mechanism how the Lisp is going to save the data, save the list, right? So some interpretation, but we are not discussing about the internal part of Lisp. Okay, in the memory organization we are not talking about, but small guess by seeing the expansion for the CDR. Small guess, that's all. It may be true or false. Okay. So CAR and CDR has the expansion like this. Okay, and another thing is there is a procedure called as list ref. List ref. You just read it. What is the use of list ref? Let us discuss this one in the next session. Can you guess what is a list ref? There are two arguments. The first argument is the list, and the second argument is the POS. Can you guess? It is also written here. CDR always go to the position 1. That means considering the first element position as 0, it starts from position 1 till the end. It will return you the data. So in order to go for a particular position, 5th position, 4th position, there are no methods. You have to recursively call the CDR, CAR, like that. Okay, so list ref, if you look at the first argument, it is a list, and the second argument is a POS. It is a non-negative integer. The index cannot be a negative number, right? So it is a non-negative integer. Okay, what it returns? It returns the element of list at position POS, where the list first element is position is 0. Okay, so it returns a list of this particular variable at position POS. So we have the first, second, third till 10th. Okay, after that I want to have a 20th element. Where is the procedure? There is a 20th. that primitive function is not available. Okay, so the language needs some more primitive function procedure which will be retrieving you any element, okay, any positional element in the given data. Okay, so let us discuss once again, start with the list ref in the next session. Any doubt in this? I hope Lisp is a little bit interesting now. Yeah, I hope so.
Yes, ma'am.
You can understand now. If you are understanding, it is interesting. Otherwise, you have to 2 or 3 times. If you are ready, then you can make it as understandable. Okay. So, can ask me any doubts if you have. And actually, you know, after constructing the abstract data type, we will write the abstract procedure which will operate on abstract data, which will return you abstract data. See how complex. To that level we are going for.
I'm tongue twisted, ma'am.
Sorry. Sorry.
No, nothing. It sounds like a tongue twisted. So I just said. You said so many abstracts, abstract data, abstract procedure, abstract redundant.
Yeah. See, we are going to write a procedure, abstract procedure, which will be operating on abstract data, and it is going to return you abstract data. Yeah, procedure means you must have an input and it has to return output. The input is the abstract data, output is abstract data, and the procedure what you are going to write is a abstract procedure. Yeah, I think. Okay. Okay, so we will make it interesting. Usually this subject, you know, little bit the students will hesitate to read and they will score less grade, usually many of the students, but we will make it interesting. We will help you. There should not be any failures.